on my end. So
It's
yes,
meeting
here
is
we
being live
go.
streamed.
Hey,
All right,
got
so who has
it.
the link? Who has the link here?
Drew has the link here. Hang on, it's still setting it up. It says. Oh, done.
Here we go.
Redirected
Here we
to
go.
live. Here we go. All right, we're live.
Hey, Drew, you want to text that?
Hang on, it's still setting it up.
Text what?
Done.
Just the link to our stream, because I'll post that.
All right, we're live.
Hear it.
Yes. 1 sec.
Wow, it only took us 18 minutes longer than we planned for.
Ooh, I gotta make a
And
thumbnail for
Emily
this.
may or may not be here.
I'm not. I can't get it to work.
Don't worry about it.
We can't find you on your camera. I know it's not even installed. I actually uninstalled it
Great.
and then I
Excellent.
had to restart my computer, but I didn't do that. I can go on my phone.
All right. The last link is the link to the live stream.
Oh, can you text
Right.
it? Because I have to do it from my phone.
Yes. I'm not recording yet, so this is still the like trickle in
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Are we out on Emily for good?
I've been
You
out
mean,
on
like,
Emily
as
for
a
a long
person?
time, but I
Yeah.
don't even really like her.
Like I meant like for good for this podcast.
I mean, I can't get it to work. Look for your
Emily, I'm
camera.
Maybe
kidding. I like
try
you, though.
restarting your
Joke.
computer just one time for the one
Me,
time.
I'll try. I'll see you guys never.
Oh, so LeBron took Giannis first.
29 a night, 11 rebounds, also for Philadelphia, 32 and 22 at number 5 in the East.
Okay, I just tweeted from LB. So once Emily is back in and we still can't see her, let's just start recording. And yeah, I have to go at 7:30, but if you guys want to keep going, God bless.
I have some studying, but
We should be, I mean, this is pretty much instant reaction shit.
Yeah.
So we should, you know.
Whew. Okay.
we about ready?
Yeah.
Is she here?
No. Yeah,
Well,
let's
we're
see.
almost ready though.
Yeah, if she can't do camera, then
Oh yeah, whenever she's back, let's just go, whether or not she
Yeah.
can do camera.
Sounds good.
so I am.
Who's the host of the group right now? Who'll be able to see when she's back?
That's me.
Okay.
I can. Ooh. Okay. So you have to give me permission to record.
Sounds good. I'll make you co-host.
Yeah, you're gonna need to keep the host.
All right.
Okay, so it looks like in the future, that's all we have to do instead of making me the host. So,
Sounds good.
All right, I'm out. Good luck.
Thanks, pal.
All right. Should we just like get started? I guess we're no wait, were we? Where is it?
Where is she?
Hi, people coming on.
People joining? I can't. Where's the YouTube?
I don't know. My friend Joel told me people are coming on. I don't know how to tell.
All right.
So if you're gonna watch it on YouTube, just make sure you have the stream muted.
Yeah, that's what I have right now. All right. Do you want to just like Emily will be on in a second? We'll probably just get some intro stuff out of the way before she gets on.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Cool.
All right. Are we recording?
Yes. No. Yes, we are.
Hi. Welcome to the Gastroenteritis Blues. We have wonderful news. You're hearing it here first. The Sixers have traded for James Harden. Ben Simmons is long gone. Today's a joyous day. My name is Steve Littman. I'm joined as always, currently with Dan Volpone. Emily Cannell is on her way back in. She'll be here any moment, we promise. We're streaming live right now on YouTube. If you're listening to this at a later date, you are listening to it as a podcast version, but today's a fucking great day. They have made the Ben Simmons trade, which we've been begging Daryl to do for a long time. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. Dan, I need to go to you first. I mean, this Ben Simmons thing has been terrorizing us for a long time. We can see, Emily. This day is really coming up, Gastro. Dan, let me start with you, buddy. Tell me about your reaction. Tell me about where you were when you got the news. I know that you did not respond right away. I think that we had all sort of assumed that you were like overcome with emotion. Dead from pure joy. But tell us about what happened when this news broke and take us through it.
Yeah, I mean, there was like a pretty short window of today, like maybe a 20-minute window when I absolutely could not like even check my phone just to look at it. And the trade happened right in that window. So I was in like a breakout room, like answering questions with prospective students at school. And the session ended and I was like, well, I figured going in when I couldn't check my phone, like Daryl's probably taking it to 3, it's fine. Like it's not going to happen right now. Like of all the times it could happen. So of course it happened right in that, like at the very beginning of that window. So I didn't like miss 5 minutes of all the excitement. I missed like the first like 20 minutes of everyone getting like crazy and like it was like old news by the time I saw it. But I knew it happened before I even saw it because I like flipped over my phone before I even unlocked it. Like, it's like, I can't see the previews till I unlock it. Like I had like text from like 12 different people and like a missed FaceTime and like a bunch of Twitter notifications and Bleacher Report. I was like, it has to be this. Like, there's no way everyone wants to talk to me all of a sudden if it's not this. And I was so happy. I couldn't get work done for a while. I was just running around my apartment like a child. It was awesome. it was fantastic.
Emily, take me through. First of all, wonderful to see you. Emily had some video issues earlier, but it all worked out. Emily, take me through how you saw it and your immediate reaction when you saw it.
I was in a patient's room and we talk about basketball quite frequently on my floor, and someone stopped by to pop their head in and was like, it happened, and like told me the trade while I was like with the patient quick. But yeah, so that's how I found out. And then I left when I was done with my session. I left the room and I had like texts from you guys and, well, not Dan, because I thought he died, and my dad and Jordy and everyone. Jordy's was very like deadpan. It was just like, it happened, period. And I was like, oh, but yeah, that's where I was. I was very excited. I was happy he was gone. I'm sad to give up Seth and Andre, but I think it was a fair price to pay. So I'm not like too beat up about it. I mean, would I have liked to not give them up? Sure, that would have been great, but that's not realistic. So
I know this isn't your job, so I know that, but I like to think of you in the room with the patient. The patient is inches from death, and you have the things you rub together, and the patient is like gasping for air, and somebody's like, Emily, they did the trade, and you're like, oh, was Matisse in it? And it's like beeping. And you're like, what are the protections on the 2027 pick? And it's like the patient's dead, and you're like, I thought that
didn't happen. I don't even do that on patients. No. I was just hanging out with someone. It was really quite
that's
simple.
much better.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'd put down my phone all week. This has consumed me completely. My screen time
My
is
screen
gonna
time
be
is a disgrace
horrific.
right now.
Absolute
Horrible.
bloodbath. Tarantino movie. It's gonna be
I'm
terrible.
like checking it like when it thinks you pick it up, you know what I mean? Like I've been like checking it every couple minutes in the shower. Like
Yeah.
be like I'm washing my hair and then it's like anything happened.
Yeah.
Like, this was on like
Yeah.
Saturday when it was probably not gonna happen. Like
Why
Of
don't you
course
just
not.
turn your notifications on and then you would know?
my phone is always on silent.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
maybe in the shower, put it on noise so you can
You
get
have
your
a
notifications.
point. However, I didn't think of it and the trade already
It's not a
happened, so it's
permanent
over.
selection. You can toggle it. It changes.
That
as
sounds like a ton of work.
a millennial thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So the deal ends up being James Harden for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, two first-round picks. Oh, and Paul Millsap also comes to Philadelphia. The haggling seems like it was about in recent days Seth Curry versus Matisse Thybulle, and it ended up being, I think there was some reporting that the Sixers included an extra first-round pick to keep Matisse Thybulle out of it. So there was debate among Sixers fans recently about including Seth versus including Matisse. I have been in the camp recently of keeping Matisse versus keeping Seth. That I don't think is the majority vote, or maybe it is, but not necessarily with some. I just really wanted to keep Matisse in this. I think that your perimeter defense would really struggle. And now I know that, for me at the end of the day, as long as Maxey was out of it, I would have made it happen. As long as we had the Joel, Maxey, and Harden core, I would have made it happen. But I really wanted to keep Matisse out of this so that we had a premier perimeter defender. But Emily, were you preferring to keep Matisse out of this over Seth, or if you had to do one or the other? Obviously, the Sixers ended up giving up Seth in this because obviously you get shooting and playmaking in a big way with Harden, and now you have your high-level perimeter initiator in Harden. What was this your preference to keep Matisse over Seth?
I think it's a smarter thing to do. I think at this point right now, Seth is like a better player, but I think that Matisse fits our needs better. And Harden kind of is better at things that Seth does. So I think it's the smarter move trade wise, but it's just kind of hard sometimes to give up the better player. So I think that's where it comes in, but I think it's the right move. I mean, Seth isn't locking down Steph Curry on defense, or Ja Morant or any of those people. So I think it makes our team more complete to keep Matisse. And also Matisse is getting good at those corner threes. So I still have hope for him. He can just stand in the corner and play defense and then stand in the corner and shoot threes, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, the argument that many had for Seth over Matisse is that, first of all, of course, Seth has great chemistry with Joel on offense. Seth was excellent in the playoffs, offensively especially. And Matisse has not shown the ability to really do a ton on offense. I do think that Matisse's cutting is going to be really good with a high-level passer like Harden. And I just think that the opportunities that Matisse creates on defense is going to be really important. And I think that having a wild card and consistent defender like him is going to be, I think that he has a lot of room to grow, and I would bet on him continuing to do that. Dan, I feel like you were similar on this, that you would prefer to, I know that you would have given up either of them to get it done, but I think that you were similar, that you would have preferred to give up Seth over Matisse as well.
I was kind of 50-50. I understand what Seth brings. I also think I think a lot of people looked at what he did in the playoffs last year, and like he was great in the playoffs, but he shot 60% from three. I'm not sure we can quite expect in the Hawks series he shot 60% from three. I'm not sure we can quite expect that to happen again. Matisse was also really bad. They might not meet in the middle, right? Like Seth could easily outplay Matisse again in the playoffs. But I like that Matisse brings some athleticism to the team. And obviously the defense is nice. I think the defense was not super helpful when he was like incessantly fouling Trae Young last year. But it was his second year in the league, and I think it's very, very possible he's learned a lot from that. And he has been playing really well lately. He's been getting more minutes than ever. He's with the starters. Like Emily pointed out, he's been shooting well, the best he shot since the beginning of his rookie year. I'm under no illusion that this is permanent because he's not a very good shooter and he doesn't have good form. And sometimes guys get hot, but he's had success in the dunker spot. I think he's been, Doc has found a way this year to make him less useless on offense. Like maybe not useless. Useless is almost like a compliment, like less of a complete like harm on offense. And I think that is really encouraging going forward. The fact that you don't have to have him off the floor most of the game, knowing that, you know, you have a Dwight Howard or Andre Drummond who can't shoot, in addition to the fact that, you know, when Ben is not being fouled off the court in the playoffs, he's a guy who is in the condition and is good enough to play like 45 minutes in a pivotal game 7 when the hack of Ben isn't happening. And we've seen it, you know, we've seen Ben can play these minutes and should play these minutes. That leaves Matisse only, you know, a handful of minutes in a real game 7. If you know, a must-win game when Ben is not, or if Ben is shooting at least like 55% from the foul line, enough to keep him on the floor. And so I think the fact that Ben is gone probably opens things up for Matisse. Even if you don't want to play Matisse, like just whenever, if you want to play him more selectively, I also think that you make the case that I would make the case that getting Harden lets you play Seth more selectively. We saw how Seth got picked on the defensive end. And I think that not having such a few set minutes when Ben's off the court, when Matisse is really playable, is kind of big. Like that lets you play Matisse in the minutes where he's going to be most helpful, and you still have Danny Green for the others. So I'm cool with keeping Matisse. I know a lot of people preferred Seth pretty strongly. And I know a lot of others preferred Matisse pretty strongly. Like I said, it was pretty 50-50, but I'm very happy with it. I would have been happy either way. I kind of expected to give both, and so the fact we only gave one is great.
I thought the value was totally fine on this. I mean, I don't know, you guys, with this fucking Ben shit, I got to the point where it was great trade, who'd we get territory. I was ready to go. So you trade him for, you know, the other day, Tyrese Halliburton got traded, and I was like, man, Darryl better be getting Harden. You know, it was like, I would have been really, really upset if he didn't get Harden this week, you know? So the reporting this week was really funny because, especially these last few days, because on Wednesday, Brian Windhorst comes out on ESPN Wednesday morning, and he goes, I got some news, folks. All right, listen right here. He goes, we're in the deal zone with Philly and Brooklyn. We're safely tucked away here in the deal zone. I won't tell you it's totally going to happen, but it's going to happen. You know, they're talking, they're exchanging some negotiations, and we're in the deal zone, babe. And Brian goes away. He goes on to Mike Greenberg's show. He brings out the same phrase. He goes, babe, we're in the fucking deal zone. I don't know how else you want me to say it, but we're in the deal zone. And he goes, Greeny says, does James Harden want this? He goes, ho, ho. He wants this really badly. This is really going to happen. Then Woj, his colleague, comes on 2 hours later. Woj says, Philadelphia and Brooklyn have never had one conversation about this. They're not talking whatsoever. People are saying they're talking. People, by the way, your friend and colleague, Brian Windhorst, who said on this network 2 hours earlier that we're in the deal zone. So what the fuck are you talking about? So I don't know if you guys want to get on the same page, but like, what are you doing? So
there was also like silence from ESPN for a while after that.
Silence. So like, so then you don't hear from Windhorst for a while. Like then a few hours later, like meekly, Windhorst comes back on the air and they're like, hey Brian, any updates? And he's like, I think they're talking. Yeah, it's going to conversations. And like Woj is like, no conversations that I've heard of. Nobody's talking. And like, it was kind of taking the wind out of my sails because I was like, what the fuck is going on? But this morning, Woj says they're going to talk. Philadelphia is very motivated. Everybody's very motivated. It's lots of motivation.
James Harden doesn't want to publicly request for a trade, but he really wants to go to Philadelphia.
So what exactly is the difference? Woj writes a report today that goes on ESPN that says James Harden wants a trade to Philadelphia by 3 p.m. today, but he doesn't want to make a trade request. So what exactly is the difference? like Emily, can you help me with that?
No, I can't. And it's like he doesn't want to name a team, but he wants to be a Philadelphia 76er by 3 p.m. on February 10th.
Yeah, I have no idea. So what else do we have here? So when we think about the Sixers trade deadline or where the Sixers are stacking up here, what do you think the Sixers look like right now in comparison to the Brooklyn Nets? Like now the Nets have, oh, hey, here's something. Is Paul Millsap going to play on the Sixers, Emily? What do we think? Does he play at all? I don't know.
No.
No,
No.
he won't be.
Okay, great.
What are we doing with him though? That's more importantly what I want.
He's I'd be surprised if he wasn't bought out, because I think there's enough players that will potentially be bought out that are so much better that like fill actual positions of need for the Sixers, whether it's a wing, a guard, a backup five, like. And I think the Sixers are pretty desirable in the buyout market. Like, arguably the most they've been since they got Bellinelli and Ilyasova. And I know that the years following that, Sixers fans were like kind of overly optimistic because it was like we got two key contributors to our rotation going into the playoffs off of the buyout market. I think that of any year since, this is the year most likely to have that, because the years in between, there wasn't really room. Like James Ennis and Mike Scott were just like in the rotation. We didn't make any big moves at the deadline, and we didn't have a thinned out rotation. It wasn't a surprise we were going to the playoffs. This year we just traded, 2 rotation players for 1. So that's at least 1 spot opened up. Plus I would imagine the Sixers feel they could do better than Furkan. I would imagine that Shake Milton is not their ideal like full-time bench guard. So once he comes back, and so I do think that they're a pretty desirable spot for like one. They're just like inarguably contenders at this point. And of the contenders, I think that they have the most minutes to give. Like if you're Dennis Schroeder and you get bought out,
He's in Houston now. Yeah,
well, he's in Houston for now, but he's a pretty clear buyout candidate, and I would love him coming off the bench. I think he would be a great pickup on, a minimum as a buyout for the rest of the year. And I mean, we're talking about a guy who I think got like pretty close to being all defensive second team just like a year ago, and can do a little bit of scoring, like a very, very good guard off the bench. Would be a huge upgrade over Shake. That's a guy who could become available. And if you're him, I mean, I'm not him, and there might be a completely different factor. Maybe he hates the cold, right? Maybe he doesn't like someone on, who knows? There could be a million reasons that he picks one team over another, but just like for a neutral guard looking for the, a team to pick in the buyout market, if you have your choice, the Sixers are a contender who's offering you pretty real minutes, like pretty significant minutes. The same could be said from the wing. Like I said, the Sixers could do better than Furkan, I would imagine, especially, he's been so bad shooting the ball this year, even though he's been better in other ways. They've gotten more utility out of him as just like a backup ball handler. And so I think there's minutes to give. I would imagine Millsap gets waived because I think that they like, besides the fact Millsap probably is just not going to play, I think they probably like, more than one guy on the buyout market and feel good about their chances to get more than one guy on the buyout market.
And a guy like Bassie, just to catch lobs and set screens for Harden, even just makes some sense, in that way. So you think about how the Sixers stack up against the Nets. And something funny that happened is about 4 hours ago, they pre-taped the All-Star draft, and Kevin Durant is one of the gentlemen picking the All-Star draft. KD, for his first overall pick, did pick Joel Embiid. But somebody who he's refused to pick, apparently, we've been recording while this has been airing, but somebody who he's refused to pick. Now, they taped this apparently right after the trade happened. He refused to pick James Harden. Now, our intern producer, Drew, has been telling us about what exactly has been going on here. Apparently, he has such hurt feelings about Harden that he has gone so far as to select Rudy Gobert, who nobody ever selects in anything. So Drew has the clip here to show us what exactly happened with this. So I'd love to see it.
I'm gonna
I
get
can't
the
hear-
sound.
Yeah, I can't hear it, but it looks good.
It looks good.
Well, when we publish it, we could edit this part out, and it could be like this never happened.
Okay, that was an oversight on my part. Look at that. Didn't thought the sound would go through. Need more research.
Listen, we all have to do our own research these days. Don't worry about it. So
Hey, people doing their own
basically-
research is the only reason we even got James Harden.
It's so true.
It is.
So listen, forget it. Kevin Durant is very hurt feelings about James Harden, which I love. I love all the bad blood. I mean, it's tremendous. Now we have to talk about Joel's tweet when we talk about the bad blood. In between
Wait, real
these
quick, hang
tweets.
on, real quick. I
Yeah.
just wanna
Please.
say that the fact that like Harden is clearly one of the best players available as soon as you start the reserve draft, and LeBron was just pushing Durant's buttons,
Yes.
like trying to make him take Harden, and he wouldn't do it.
Wouldn't
It's
do
so
it.
like on LeBron's part, very, very, very funny.
A great bit by an unfunny person, LeBron. It was well done. So these teams hate each other right now. There was a great back and forth with Joel and KD months ago, which was good natured, but very respectful shit talking. Harden, very bitter exit from Brooklyn. Ben Simmons and Joel clearly don't like each other. Yaron Weitzman wrote something that has lots of reporting, which I need to read, but I think has details on Joel and Ben's relationship. But Joel tweeted the GIF of the guy outside the guy's funeral after he died in reference to Ben no longer being on the Sixers. So
making sure he's dead is the
correct.
Yes.
So
No,
talk to me. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was dying and I sent it to my dad, and my dad was like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And then because my dad is like 50 something years old. And so then NBC Sports Philly, what was that face, Dan? Do you think my dad's old too?
My dad is 70. Your dad's only 50 something?
Yeah.
My dad's in his 70s too.
Well, then you guys have old dads and I have
Yeah. Oh,
young dads.
I call my dad old all the time.
My dad just turned 61 yesterday.
And I'm the oldest one here.
And
Look
he's
at
a
my
child, Emily.
Look at my dad having a baby young. Good job, Dad. Good on you. But there was like an NBC Sports Philly article that kind of explained the meme. And then my dad was like, but I still don't get it. Who is it in the picture? Is it someone famous? And I'm like, if this article didn't work, like I cannot explain memes to you any further. So then I talked to him on the way home. He was like, yeah, I thought maybe it'd be easier to explain if we were talking over text. So he like kind of gets it now, but bless his heart.
So Emily, talk to me about this new rivalry, which is just set up on so many levels. First of all, they're both going to be good teams. I have no fear of Brooklyn. Kevin Durant's incredible. Kyrie Irving's part-time researcher, part-time basketball player. I'm not worried about Ben, certainly in Philadelphia.
Is there any like
it's
sorry,
set
I
up
keep
so
interrupting you. Is there any strategy involved in the playoffs of wanting the Brooklyn Nets to have a higher seed so they have more home games that Kyrie cannot play in?
I don't know that you can really do much about that, but I have heard people talk about how they have about how Brooklyn might strategize that way, the opposite, to get a lower seed, but they're going to be in the fucking play-in as it stands now. So
Well,
I don't
yeah.
know,
The East right now is so close throughout that
Yeah.
If any strategy does come up, it might be on the very last game of the season because it is packed.
Yeah, it is. So Emily, your thoughts on this budding rivalry now?
I think it's really fun. It's really fun that there are teams that are like so close together geographically. It will be interesting to see if the like Joel Drummond rivalry then is reignited. Also,
Poor
like,
Andre.
is this just like, was he going to be like, he's just been being fake nice to me for these, 6 months? He actually really does hate me still. And it's fun. It's some of like the best players in the world, aka Katie and Joel, going at each other. And not in like a malicious way, just in like a very competitive way. And then you have the Harden KD thing. They were in Oklahoma City together, then they were reunited, then Harden won it out. It's just, there's a lot of layers of relationships here, and I feel like it's gonna make for a really fun basketball.
I can't wait. Dan, your thoughts on the rivalry and all that?
I mean, there's definitely a rivalry. I think that Embiid and Drummond will not have. I think Embiid really liked Drummond while he was here.
I actually do too.
I don't think there's going to be much there. Between Embiid and Ben, I think if we get a 7-game series, we probably get like one, like they stand too close to each other and get double technicals. I don't think anything much happens, right? Like nothing really happens in the NBA, and plus Embiid doesn't really do a lot of that anymore. I have no doubt they dislike each other. Like Embiid, like I cannot tell you how nice it feels for Embiid to be openly against Ben now. Like when he has to like pretend, that's phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
But in terms of a series against the Nets, I would pretty confidently pick the Sixers. Like this, maybe I'll look stupid later, but like if they played each other, I'm just thinking back to last season. Like before the Nets traded for James Harden, I did not have the Nets as the best team in the East, and Kyrie was a full-time player at that point. I think I had the Nets as like the 3 seed, behind, I want to say, like Toronto, who ended up having an awful year, who's actually looking great right now, and Milwaukee. And the Sixers ended up getting the 1 seed. They played way better than I thought they would last year. But without Harden, I was not that high on the Nets. Like I think they're a great team. But they and I think that people might, without like putting too much extra thought in, think, well, yeah, they lost Harden, they got Ben, they're still like a big 3 in some way. Well, the Harden, Kyrie, Durant Nets were 13-3 when they were together. Like they were, I mean, no team that year, no team this year was touching that team. Like that team was far better than any team in the league when they were all together, when they were all healthy. There was not a lot of turn taking when they were healthy. It was like they were playing together and they were playing great basketball. And they were winning games like 150 to 130. It was wild. With Ben is nowhere near what Harden gives you. What Harden gave you last year, Harden was MVP level before he got hurt last year. Ben is not giving you close to that. Ben is not, people like compare him to Draymond. Ben doesn't give you the the little things not in the box score that Draymond gave you. Ben doesn't defend inside like Draymond gave you. Ben doesn't shoot like prime Draymond could. Like they're not comparable players. And what you're getting is a very good, very flawed Ben Simmons. And what the Nets gave, like I said, going back to, like I said, I didn't pick the Nets to win the conference. And I didn't think they would before they got Harden last year. The rest of that team had some good players that they gave up to just get Harden that they don't have back now that they don't have him, right? Like I don't think would the Cavs trade Jared Allen straight up for Ben Simmons right now? Like they might not. And so that was a big part of that trade. Karis LeVert is having a phenomenal year this year. He was a big part of that trade. Phenomenal might be strong, but it's probably the best year he's had. And he was a big part of that trade. And they traded a bunch of guys. You go down the list and they really thinned out. And the rest of their team is old. Like they're old and slow and unathletic and like even worse than they were last year because they're all old. I think the Sixers win that series. Like, I think they win it in like 5 or 6. I don't think it would go 7. Kyrie's playing every other game. Durant is great, but like, give me Embiid over anyone. Give me, if Harden truly is healthy and the hamstring is not why he was playing poorly and he was pissed at his situation and he was moping and he gets motivated in Philly, give me Harden as soon as you give me Durant. Like, the Sixers are so good right now. I'm so excited. I can't believe
We did
this.
it.
This is going to be
Can't believe it.
this is going to be by far the best Sixers team I've seen, I think. Butler was really good, but Harden is much better even now than Butler was then. Even with Harden having a quote unquote down year. Embiid is better than he's ever been. Ben has never shown me anything in later in the playoffs. Like, I'm not worried about it. And Tobias, I think more so than Tobias when he had Jimmy, when he had Ben, guys who probably in some ways are helpful to their teammates. Tobias Harris is really going to benefit from James Harden, I think. And we have Maxey now, who is a change of pace. He's so fast. He's getting better and better. He's gaining confidence. Joel loves him. I am ecstatic to watch this team play basketball as a whole. I'm more confident than I've ever. The Sixers were the 1 seed last year for the first time that I can remember. The first time that I'm old enough to remember. And I had such little confidence in them going into the playoffs. I don't care what happens this year. When you have Maxey and Harden and Embiid playing like this, and Tobias Harris is your 4th best player, who, if he gets hot, great. And hopefully they get some buyouts to fill out the bench, and you have Matisse and Danny Green. Like, this is a team that can win. And I am so excited.
Listen, folks, we have one last thing, and we can make it quick. What number should James Harden wear? He cannot wear number 13 because I wore that in Little League. So what number should James Harden wear? Emily, I'd love to hear what you think.
I haven't really put a lot of thought into this, Steve. So does Dan have an answer? I'm punting
Dan,
this
I know
question.
Dan does have an answer, and Dan has a
Listen.
great answer. Yeah.
A lot of
Then go
people are
for it.
saying James Harden will look good in the number 11. And I agree. I agree he would look good in 11. The right answer is that James Harden should wear 25. Right? Like,
Come on.
just take Ben's number. Everyone can
Take
tape
the
over
kid's
the
number.
jersey.
Take the kids.
Tape it over. Ben, like, no one's even gonna remember Ben was here. The people were here's another thing. All right. When people talk about the things Ben gives you, besides defense, when they talk about Ben's a great defender. I think Harden is underrated as a defender. He's obviously nowhere near Ben as a defender. Right? Like, they're not in the same.
Well, and I will say he hasn't been breaking a sweat on that for the last couple of weeks. Yeah.
When he wants to, James Harden is legitimately a good defender. When he wants to be. I'm not going to compare. Ben is a million times better. I'm not comparing on that end. But the other things Ben gives you, people act like these are such unique things that Ben gives you. They're like, he's a good passer. He's a good rebounder. James Harden is averaging over 10 assists and over 8 rebounds, numbers that Ben Simmons has not cracked. Okay, like, people think that Ben is so unique because the Sixers have not had a guard in since Allen Iverson. And James Harden is going to blow people's minds with how well he plays basketball. James Harden in his down year is averaging, when he's literally not trying, is averaging 22, 10, and 8. Okay? Like, this is going to be unbelievable. I cannot wait to see it. And people are going to, I think if he is locked in, people are going to love him.
Emily, have you come up with a number?
No, I like Dan's answer.
I love it. All right. You know what? 3 in a row. We're all going 25. Listen, we're going to be back with you. We're going to do a podcast at some point on Sunday. We're all very busy people, but we're going to try to
I don't
do
have
something
bowling
on
this Sunday.
You don't have bowling, but there is
Bowl.
a Super Bowl.
I probably won't be around. I got a big exam Monday.
It might not be around. But
I have
Emily and
to
I
say
will hold
one
down
more
the
thing
fort.
though.
Please.
On the topic of James Harden, I just want to say that I feel slightly vindicated in my non-off-season James Harden trade, because if that trade were to have gone down, Tyrese Maxey would have been included.
Oh, you're not last season. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now we have James Harden and Tyrese Maxey. Therefore, I think I was right the whole time.
Here,
Well,
I'll
and
say
Maxi's
this.
incredible, and we didn't know Maxi was this good.
I'll say this.
It
I
would
know
have
Steve-
hurt to see him on Brooklyn this good. It would have hurt.
I know Steve has to go soon. I want to say this real quick. Daryl's still a weirdo. Daryl killed this.
Daryl did so good.
Daryl killed it.
Killed it.
And I think, if you want to call me wrong, sure, I'll say I was wrong. Really, it was a level of frustration where I was like, I wasn't even saying it was the smart thing to get this over with. It was like, get this over with. I'm still not convinced that keeping Ben Simmons is the reason we got James Harden, because I think James Harden saying I want to be a Sixer is the reason we have James Harden. But maybe by keeping Simmons, we keep Maxey now, right? Like I think that Daryl did a phenomenal job. Maybe he got a bit lucky. He probably got. I mean, he maybe got a bit lucky. But what was the caveat we said this whole time? This whole time is that, first of all, Daryl is tampering. Daryl should be tampering. Daryl did tamper. And Daryl knows way more than we do about other stars, specifically James Harden. And what we said this whole time is like, if Ben is still a Sixer this whole time, Daryl better be pretty damn sure that James Harden wants to come to Philadelphia. And James Harden told the Nets one team is that he wanted to go to Philadelphia. And on an expiring, that took every other team out of it. He then opted in. He's no longer even expiring for the Sixers. And Daryl absolutely killed it. He killed it.
I also am willing to admit when Dan's wrong, and this is one of those times, and we just have to live with that. Mazel tov to Daryl, mazel tov to us. James Harden is a Sixer, Ben Simmons is not. What a fucking world. We'll be back with you this weekend. This is great. Drew, we love you. Thank you for your help. If not for Drew, we would be streaming this to no one. And we might be. I don't even know.
We had no idea what we were doing.
No idea. Listen to the podcast. Follow us on wherever. Goodbye. We love you.
Be safe and be great.
Safe and be great. There it is.